Good morning. Yes, it's March. It feels like July already, and my goodness, this year is just racing on by. We're busy with the series, the 2020 Vision, and before we know it, it's going to be Easter, then it's going to be December, then it's going to be 2021. This morning, I had a free coffee or two to give away, sugar-free, to some of you at church this morning. And as some of you are possibly doing church in your homes this morning due to the coronavirus, you would have very well possibly had a free coffee. But the difference with these free cups of coffee were that they were lukewarm. And I wish I could have seen the reaction of some of the lucky members sipping on these lukewarm coffees this morning. Yeah, lukewarm coffee, it's not so nice. I mean, I really like an iced coffee, or I really love a hot coffee from 31.3 Rad's coffee station, but a lukewarm coffee, no, it just does not go. And just by the reaction, I can imagine some of you sipping this lukewarm coffee that nobody likes lukewarm coffee. From this illustration this morning, I'm sure a few of you are seeing the direction that I'm going in this morning. Lukewarm, hot, cold. But it's not all as you may think. You're possibly thinking of the Revelation scripture, Revelation 3:15, where it says, I know your deeds, that you are neither hot nor cold. I wish you were either one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth. Yes, Jesus would rather have us hot or cold, but not lukewarm. Just like that coffee, we would prefer it hot from 31.3 or cold, an iced coffee. But lukewarm? No. You see, Jesus' desire, I believe, is that he wants us hot and on fire for him, making an impact for his kingdom, rather than cold and far away from him. The hot here in the scriptures referring to true believers. These are people who are true followers of Christ. And this is God's desire, that us true believers would be on fire for him, making an impact for his kingdom. The cold here is referring to unbelievers. Those are people who have no desire for holiness or Jesus. They don't acknowledge him at all. They're just cold and far away from him. Lukewarm, these are people that claim they are believers, but their lives don't really show it. So actually they're being hypocritical, double-minded, and inconsistent in their faith. They're just lukewarm. But Jesus is also actually saying here that being lukewarm is even worse than being cold. He would rather you then be cold. But please, can I say that after this morning, as we dig deeper into this morning, you would rather make the commitment and sacrifice and become hot from lukewarm? Let's turn the other way and become hot and on fire and impact players for his kingdom. Yes, it's going to be a sacrifice at times. Possibly daily, we're going to have to make sacrifices. But that's God's desire for us, that we could be hot and on fire for him. Today I want to look at this from another angle about being hot or cold for Jesus in 2020. And this is as we're sharing our 2020 vision. Let's be hot rather than cold. Let's all turn to Luke 9 verse 23. 9 verse 23. And as we're turning for our scriptures this morning in our homes, as we are doing these little life groups together because of the coronavirus, I'm just going to take a sip of water quickly while we're turning to Luke 9:23. Okay, you got it. Luke 9:23. Then he said to the crowd, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way. Take up your cross daily and follow me. I want to highlight that there. Take up your cross daily and follow me. Just 2 books back in Matthew 10:38, the New King James Version says it like this. And he who does not take his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it. a little bit confusing. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it. A little bit confusing, and after this podcast, you can discuss this together as a group about taking up your cross. That's what we're going to focus on this morning. Taking up your cross daily for Jesus. Do you take up your cross daily for Jesus? Let me ask you this question. What does it mean to take up your cross for Jesus? What it really means is that you're willing to make a commitment to him and that you're willing to die for him. You see, there was persecution in the earlier times where you could actually die for your faith. And today we don't have to die for our faith in this country. But what are we prepared to sacrifice in order to follow Jesus? In other countries, people do die to follow him. And I want to share about that quickly. The top 3 countries that are the most dangerous to live in as a Christian are South Korea, Afghanistan, and Somalia. And I'm not going to go into great detail here, but I want us to just share a little bit of those 3 countries, what they're actually going through to proclaim that they are Christians. In South Korea, you can get sent to a labor camp or killed on the spot if you're a Christian. Your family is also targeted if you're a Christian. That's crazy, eh? Your family is also targeted if you're a Christian. In Afghanistan, Christians are sent to mental hospitals, or they're beaten. They are killed sometimes by their own family members. In Somalia, they want the whole country free of Christians, so they usually kill Christians on the spot. You see, they live in fear of being discovered, yet they still choose to follow and serve Jesus. They still choose to pick up their cross. Do we believe in him that much that we're willing to do this? Do we believe in Jesus that much that we're willing to do this? What do you and me need to do daily in order to bear our cross? You see, each one of us, I'm sure, have an area in our lives where we need to daily pick up our cross and follow him. So let's just say we're carrying our cross and we're proclaiming that we're Christians and we're living for Jesus, but then we hit an afternoon rugby bra. Maybe the guys are swearing a bit too much and drinking a little bit too much, and I don't want to go into that whole debate now over the drinking thing, but sometimes we just put our cross down and we become lukewarm. You see, this was the area for me when I was growing up. This was the cross that I had to bear and that I had to carry. I was convicted not to drink, possibly because I was going to react in a certain way or I was going to blow my testimony. I'm not actually too sure why, but I was convicted not to drink. And this was the cross I had to bear growing up. But don't make my cross your cross. Don't take what God's convicted me with for your life. You need to assess your life and see where you need to pick up your cross. What you have to do to be a hot, on fire Christian for God. You see, we still need to bear our cross in these moments around the bra. We need to be shining his light all the time. So if God's clearly told me not to drink, then I need to bear that cross, no matter how tough or hard it's going to be. And we all need to keep that commitment. It will be a sacrifice to possibly grab that Coke. But if God's challenging you in this area, then stay hot and make that sacrifice. Stay hot and make it sacrifice. Back to Revelation scripture. Jesus doesn't want a lukewarm Christian being ineffective for his kingdom. His heart's desire is for you and me to be an influence and an impact player for his kingdom. Yes, you may be going to heaven, but what are you doing just scraping by, being lukewarm? You may be going to heaven, but why getting in heaven just by the scrape of it, by being lukewarm? Are you sitting here today just because it's Sunday? Are you just ticking a box supporting your spouse? Or are we being effective for his kingdom? Are you a lukewarm Christian right now? Can I ask you that? Are you a lukewarm Christian right now? And today is not a normal Sunday. It's not a normal church Sunday, as we're having to meet in our homes due to this coronavirus. But I wonder if you've just ticked the box today, or if you've made a decision to still do church today. Are you carrying your cross daily outside of a Sunday? Are you shining His light outside of a Sunday? Can outsiders see that you're carrying your cross? When you pick the kids up at school? When things get heated at the office? When you're tempted in a situation you know is wrong, can others see something different about you? At work, do you carry your cross? Do you carry your cross at work? Can customers and suppliers and work colleagues see that you are carrying your cross, that there's something different about you? Can they see that you are a Christian? Are you trying to be hot and portray a different role? I'm the first to say I mess up and blow it. And I'm not going to get it right. Because I'm human and I have an imperfect part in me that's in all of us. We're going to blow it. We're going to shout at our colleagues or possibly our teammates on the field or those on bicycles next to us. I think it's even safe to say that we're going to possibly blow it and have a few words and signs in the traffic. Yeah, but are we trying? Are we trying that when we fail and mess up, we're humble enough to admit that we've messed up and ask for forgiveness and then to pick up our cross again? See, when we blow it and don't act in a Christ-like way, do we pick up our cross and deal with the consequences in a Christ-like way? Yeah, do we pick up our cross and deal with it? You know, as I stand up here, I can share illustration. For those of you that don't know me, I sharpen pencils and I sell office stationery at a family business, and a nun came into the shop. This was about 17 years back and I can still remember it today. But a nun came into the shop and she came in with a used sellotape dispenser, saying that this is how she received it in the box. But this thing looked tired and it looked a little bit damaged. And the more I tried to reason with her and tell her we would not sell second-hand tape dispensers, the louder she got. Eventually I lost it. I took this tape dispenser, I threw it on the floor, I handed her a new one, and I wished her on her merry way. After calming down a little bit and just getting to my senses, a staff member who packs parcels at the back came to me and she said, "So I'm very sorry, but I took a new tape dispenser for my packing station and I put the old broken one back in the box, which somehow landed up on the shelf, which somehow went out to a specific customer." Yes, that's the nun would be the customer that got this second-hand tape dispenser. Yeah, ouch. That is a little bit anal. And you know, to this day, I wish I could get hold of that nun and apologize for my actions. I wish I could just tell her, I'm sorry. This is just one of many examples how far I am from perfect and how I mess up often. But by God's grace and by trying to carry my cross daily, I find myself up here, no more perfect than any one of you. But God is saying, pick up your cross and follow me. Pick up your cross and follow me. Are you willing to make a commitment to Jesus and His ways? To follow not what makes sense in the world or to you, but are you willing to make the sacrifice daily for Jesus? Even if it is the unpopular choice. Even if it is opening that can of Coke with the boys around the bra. Even if it is making a stand for Jesus when you know you will be unpopular. You see, it doesn't mean we need to be a Billy Graham or Angus Buchan, but He wants us to promote Him. And we do that in our big way through our actions rather than our voice. As I close this morning, I'm not sure where this sits with you. I'm not sure where you see yourself today. Are you cold? Are you far away from God? Don't you even acknowledge God? Are you possibly lukewarm? Are you just ticking the boxes but not being effective for His kingdom? Are you just lukewarm? Or are you hot? Are you a hot Christian who wants to make an impact for His kingdom? Who wants to impact others? If you're in the hot category, I want us to remember that we need to be humble. That we're not doing this in our own strength, but that we need to rely on God to help us daily. I want to leave this with us, the saying this morning. It's a reading. It says, take up your cross Take yourself the way you are and lift yourself in the direction of the better. Regardless of where you have been, what you have done, or what you haven't done, trust God. Believe in Him. Worship Him as you carry your cross with dignity and determination. I was going to hand out little crosses this morning on a bookmark at church. It's a cross in my pocket with a poem on the back. Just to each one of us to remind us that we need to pick up our cross daily and be reminded that we've got a duty to do to shine His light. So why don't you grab a cross this morning? There should be some in your groups. Guys, put it in your wallets. Ladies, put it in your purse as a reminder to constantly remind you the sacrifice is worth it to carry your cross for Jesus. And a reminder to pick up your cross daily. As this podcast comes to a close, pray and discuss this before you go home together. Feel free to discuss this podcast with your mates as you do church with mates in a whole new way today. Be blessed.